Okay, this is part 3, tiered assignments. All right, so what do we really mean by tiering an assignment? When we have a tiered assignment, it means that we have different expectations for each one of those assignments. So we're going to look at the key concept, and I have a few little comments down here as well. You can read through those if you choose to. So we're going to have a key concept. So we're going to have our lecture, our basic um, information that we're giving out to students. And we're going to have, again, you're going to see this restated in different ways, those who don't really know the concept. And so this is something pretty new to them. And so they're going to be looking at how do I understand this new thing that I'm learning. Those with some understanding and those who completely understand this concept. And so you're going to want to have an assignment that looks at 3 different levels to this whole assignment. Okay, so if you're giving them a presentation, you might have one level of an expectation for the presentation for the student who this is a new concept for them. They're just learning about it. Those with a little bit of understanding, you're going to expect a little bit more, and those who really understand the concept, they should really be, learning quite a bit more. It's like the difference in this class where you have undergraduate and graduate students. I expect more from graduate students in the same project than I do undergraduate students. So the question is, what kinds of things can we tier? We can tier the process or the content. We can give them more content, more expectations for understanding the content for someone who knows more about the topic than we do with someone who is just learning the topic. So we're going to give them the basic. The person who is just learning, we're going to give them the basic information. And maybe for the next person, for the next level, level 2, we're going to give them a little bit more. Level 3 is going to be a lot more. So we might give with assignments. Different assignments can be tiered as well. Now, we have to explain to our students, not everyone understands the entire the whole idea here. Some of you have already seen this concept before. Some of you are just talented at this concept. And so others, just because you have a little bit more expectation, don't come and tell me that, well, so-and-so only had to do this much. I'm going to say, yeah, but they're just learning this concept. So you already know this concept, so I'm going to expect more from you. That's the way life goes. We can also have different types of learning stations. We can structure our learning stations to depend on who is actually working on that particular assignment. You can do this with any kind of an assessment that you do, with your writing prompts. You can do this with pretty much anything that you do. You have to remember, where is my student A, B, and C, and how can I help them to learn the most based on what they already know. So some tiering instructions. First of all, you have to know what your standards benchmarks are. So look at the core curriculum. You're going to want to look at the generalization. What do you want students to learn? What is the base amount that all students must know? Then going up one step, what are some of your students going to be able to achieve? And then going up one more step, what are only a few of your students going to be able to do? Now, you need to decide which students have the background necessary to be successful with each tier of that lesson. And once you've assessed their readiness, have them do a learning profile. It's always a fun thing to do in class, and students really enjoy knowing, how do I learn best? Because it's good information for them. Then create an activity or a project that is focused on that particular standard concept, or generalization. So you have to already have your unit pretty much, you have to know what you're going to be teaching. Then you're going to adjust the activity to access those different tiers of difficulty. And then you're going to also have to remember to develop that assessment component that is going to be tiered as well. So you can also use the same types of tiered activities. And so what you can do is you can teach a certain type of tiered activity. This is how this activity, this is what I expect. And you're going to know if you're on tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. Just because you're normally on tier 2 doesn't mean that I'm not going to change you to tier 3 if I see that this is really easy for you. Or if I see that you're struggling, I'm going to move you down to tier 1. That doesn't have anything to do with who you are as a person. It has to do with the information that you already have. And that's why I'm doing that. So don't take it personally. And then provide interesting centers that will help students to explore those ideas. And remember that interest is very important in differentiation. Using manipulatives, hands-on supports when students need them, varying the length of time that they can take to complete a task, giving them additional support. These are all ways of tiering your activities. And then asking students to rehearse or practice, apply, and extend what they've learned in that particular unit. So examples of strategies. So you can have choice boards, and that's just where you give them different levels of activities and say, okay, you have to have 3 from level A, 2 from level B, and 1 from level C. But you can make your own choices. So that's a choice board. Tiered activities, everybody's doing the same basic activity. It's just written up in a way that we expect more from some students than others. Learning contracts, we've already kind of gone over that. We've already gone over raft. So we're going to look at menus of options, process and interest, anchor activities, okay? So we want to make sure that we have a variety of different things, because when we have a variety, students are going to stay with us longer. So I have an activity here for you, and this is going to be your discussion board, okay? And so we're going to, first of all, before we get to that, we're going to look at this little dinner party idea that I came across. Okay, so you have an appetizer. So that's your, kind of like your warm-up, okay? And this would be for, I found this online, and so they did it with chemistry, okay? So you're talking about the chemical equation for photosynthesis. You're going to have that written on the board, and then everybody's going to discuss that. Then you're going to have your entree. You're going to draw a picture that happens during photosynthesis. What happens? Things become green, okay? Write 2 paragraphs about what happens, and then create a wrap that explains what happens during photosynthesis. I would let them do that part in a group because you're going to have a lot more fun that way. So your side dishes, respiration, that's part of photosynthesis. And so we're comparing photosynthesis to respiration in a Venn diagram. So what happens? Use a journal entry from the point of view of a green plant. So you are now a green plant, write me a journal entry. Now, with your partner, create and perform a skit that shows the differences. And then you have dessert. Now, this is an optional kind of thing. You can create a test to assess their knowledge of photosynthesis. So I really liked this idea of the dinner party. I thought it was kind of cute and kind of, gives you all the stuff that you need right there in one place. Okay, so some other types of tiered assignments, and I gave you some examples in that one. Draw a picture of the main character, perform a play, write a song, write a poem, make a poster, dress up, create a Venn diagram, write 2 paragraphs. There's a lot of different things that you can do with tiered assignments. And you're going to expect more from people who actually understand the concept and have been using the concept than those folks who this is a brand new kind of idea to them. So, and then I have this tiered activity, and there's one more slide that goes with this. Okay, so writing a persuasive essay from a beginning point of view. And you can see these, I'll put the PowerPoint up for you. And then the intermediate, and you can see how these are just a little bit different. Okay, so your outcome is you're going to determine a topic. All of that is pretty close to the same. But here in the intermediate, you're going to have 2 paragraphs, and here you're only going to have 3 supporting sentences. Okay, it's not quite as much, but there's a little bit of a difference. In your instruction, you're going to receive a model of a 5-sentence paragraph, and over here you're going to have a model of a persuasive essay. Okay, and both of them are going to have pre-writing activities, so everyone's going to be working on a little bit of the same thing. Now in assessment, you're going to be able to write a 5-sentence paragraph. Over here, you're going to be able to state a point of view and successfully defend your idea in 2 paragraphs. Now right here, the last one, the advanced, I didn't have room on that one page to put them all on there so that you could actually see the words. You're going to determine the topic, and this outcome is pretty close, but here instead of 2 paragraphs, you're going to have 5 paragraphs. In the instruction and activity, you're going to also be using that graphic organizer, but you're going to be given explicit instruction to locate sources and quotes for your essay. And you're going to have to use 5 sources. In your assessment, you're going to have a 5-paragraph essay that defends the point of view and uses resources. So it's a little bit more than what we expected from the last person. And here we have raft, okay? And so role, audience, format, and topic, that's what it stands for. And this is an example of math, and we can also use it with social studies, okay? So looking at raft from the point of view of numbers, from the point of view of social studies activities and different people. Okay, so here's your scenario activity, okay? Your task is to take the following instructional objective and identify 2 differentiation strategies that might be used to teach the objective. Your objective is you're going to complete a report, or the student will complete a report on Charlotte's Web. So you're going to identify pros and cons using both strategies in a class of 25 students, and you've got these students right here that you're going to have to deal with. So Sherry likes to be asked to do things by the teacher. She's interested in fitting in and often speaks out in class. She has a wild imagination and loves to read, but she has low comprehension skills. Jimmy is hyperactive and likes to dance around the room, but he's an audio-visual learner, okay? And he's a pretty good reader and really enjoys excelling, but he tends to get distracted very easily. So I want you to read through these, and each student that you're going to be having to differentiate for is a little bit different, and so that's why I put this one in there. All right, so your literacy center, what's it going to look like? All right, so look at multiple intelligences to answer this question. You're going to look at storytelling, video clips, improv or acting, artistic and craft. So you can look at any one of these areas to do your 2 short activities. So here are some of the multiple intelligences that we have, and let me see if I can get this one to where you can see it just a little bit easier. I'm going to put this in white instead of black So I think it'll be easier. Or purple, that's good too. It'll be easier for you to see it. Okay, so you can use any one of these multiple intelligences in order to create your two little short little activities. So here's some tips. You might want to have a portfolio. You might want to use a clipboard. You don't have to do these. These are just tips, some different things you can do. Technology. You might always want to be able to put some technology in there. So when you're thinking about your differentiated curriculum, you need to be asking these questions. What am I differentiating and how am I doing it? Okay, this is what's going to help you to become more aware of what students learn, their interests, and their readiness levels. So this is going to be your activity for the discussion board for this week.